All right, this is the radical functions quick review. So remember, it all starts with the pattern, and it's important that we understand the pattern. So remember, the A value is going to tell you how steeply the curve increases. All right. It will also tell you whether there's a reflection. So both of those aspects with the A, we'll talk about that in a moment, but really important that we understand the vertex, all right? And we understand the aspect of the vertex. So what are the coordinates of the vertex? And just like we've seen in parabolas, and we'll see in ellipses, and we'll see in hyperbolas and circles and so many other things, the vertex has coordinates of hk. Okay, so that gets us started. So let's take a look at an example. So we're going to graph y equals -2 times the square root of x plus 1 plus 4. All right, so first off, we have to determine what are the coordinates of the vertex. And so be careful here. The value of the h is when there's a 1 after the x. So technically, this is minus a -1. So what is the h value? -1. K value is straightforward. That's a 4, and that's our vertex. So let's go ahead and plot our vertex at -1, 4, and we're right there. Okay. So how are we going to do the rest? Well, we've got a -2, so I know that this thing's going to be reflected about the y equal 4 line. Okay, so I know that this is reflected about that line. Okay, so it's going to come down. And then the 2 says it's going to happen, relatively quickly. All right, so the rest is an XY chart. Now, I already have the point -1, 4. So let's go ahead and do the point 0. So again, I'm just subbing in to the function with a 0. Square root of 1 is 1. 1 times -2 is a -2. -2 and 4 is a 2. So I have the point 0, 2 right there. Make it a little bit bigger there. Okay, good. Now, here's the key. This is really important, my next point. I'm looking at my radicand. I want to end up with a 4 in there. I just had a 1, now I want a 4. So let's go to x equal 3. So watch. When I sub in 3 for my x, now I have a radicand of 4. Why did I choose that? Because we all know the square root of 4 is 2. So 2 times, right? So this is a 2 times -2 is a -4. -4 and 4 is a 0. And we have the point 3, 0 right there. And we're beginning to see the classic shape. Now, what do I want next? Well, we know the square root of 4. What's the next square root? We know 9. So I want to use an 8. -2 times the square root of 8 plus 1, right? Plus the 4 on the back. So square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 2 is -6. -6 and a 4 is a -2. And I have the point 8, -2. And I'm ready to draw my curve. All right. And so... and there's the graph of our function. All right, and we're actually decaying in this one, right? As we increase the input, what happens to the output? It decreases. And at times they'll ask you for the domain. So what are the values of the domain? These are x values. So we have x greater than or equal to -1. If you're going to go interval form, you would go bracket, and you would go -1, comma, infinity, parentheses. How about values of the range? Now again, these are the y values, right? So our lowest possible y value is a 4. So it's going to be y less than or equal to 4. Now again, if you went interval value, this goes all the way down to -infinity. You always go smallest value first, up to a 4, and the 4 is included, so we use a bracket. So I'm showing you both formats, right? The inequality format and the interval format. Hey, graphing radical functions. Start with a vertex. Use an XY chart and think about that radicand. Make life a little easier on you, and away you go.